It's simple. As you say, be brave. I am more brave than I am scared of any trouble that anybody could give me for breaking some stupid NDA. I think the truth is more powerful than any NDA. To stick up for the voice of the people.
Facebook.
Shadow bans.
Yeah.
Facebook's notorious for it, and they say they don't, but it's clear that people's content don't come up because it's been defiltered off the queue.
It's a very progressive company who's very anti-MAGA.
If you see a conservative post, you just get rid of it, right? Right.
I don't give a I'll delete it.
You gotta get the Cheeto out of all.
Zach McElroy came to Project Veritas because of what he saw at his job at Facebook in Tampa, Florida. He saw and filmed evidence of structural and cultural bias inside Facebook discriminating against Republicans and conservatives. McElroy's story raises serious doubts about the under-oath testimony of Facebook's CEO Mark Zuckerberg to Congress, where he claimed Facebook has no political bias.
What percentage of the flagged posts in the civic harassment queue, as it's called, were Republican conservative?
I saw a stark contrast between Republicans versus Democrats in that queue. I saw upwards of 75 to 80% of the posts in that queue were from Republican pages, politicians, journalists, and pages that supported the president or supported conservatives.
What does that tell you about Facebook/Cognizant's algorithm here?
Well, certainly the algorithm is not human, but it had to be made by a human. So for 75 to 80% of the posts to be targeting Republicans and conservatives, you can say it was a bot, but somebody had to design that algorithm. So really, somebody at Facebook.
Some people on Capitol Hill have expressed interest in this ratio that you speak of. Are you willing to potentially testify under oath that three-quarters of the posts that you saw flagged were in one political direction?
To the best of my knowledge and ability, yes. To me, censorship online is one of the biggest issues facing us in the lead-up to the 2020 election. Well, insofar as I was not somebody who was working behind the scenes on policy, but rather as someone who was enforcing policy, I saw everybody around me, and I saw myself, and I did a little bit of comparing, and I thought, you know, there really are not very many conservatives here. And because there are not very many conservatives, I really don't think there are very many people sticking up for the voice of conservatives at a company that handles all the flow of conversations, basically a large portion of the discourse online. And we are essentially in charge of what gets said and what gets stifled.
You mentioned the election, and can talk a little bit more about your concerns as it pertains to Facebook meddling or being involved in the 2020 election.
Well, we know publicly, and as someone even before I started working there, we've seen plenty of statements from Mark Zuckerberg publicly about how they don't want to meddle in the election. They want to give everybody a free, a platform for everybody to speak freely. But we know that privately they have very different opinions, and we've seen that with the previous Facebook story that you guys published. And I had no doubt that what he said publicly is not what he means to do privately.
So let's go to the Trump cartoon, this one here. Is this something that you saw at your tenure?
Yes, I actually saw this image a lot.
Tell me about this.
Well, this is an image, I believe it's in an art museum in Portland. They put this up as a bit of a political statement, and Facebook actually reacted to this, at least internally. They gave us a memo saying that this would not violate for violence and incitement or anything else, really. And so we were told to leave this image up, as long as it didn't say, oh, I'm going to actually kill Donald Trump or something like that.
So you just told us about this one where they allowed it to stay up. They think that this cartoon with Elmer Fudd has high severity violence and incitement, but this does not. How do you reconcile that as a Facebook cognizant insider?
Well, frankly, I don't. There's no difference between the two. There's no logical reason why the determined reaction to those two posts would be different. They should be the same.
This is was this something that you took a screenshot of?
Yes, it is.
Talk to me about what I'm looking at here with Don Lemon.
This was a memo given to moderators in, looks like, November 2018. They made an exception for content around involving a thing that Don Lemon said on CNN around the time.
He said, it says, CNN host Don Lemon recently said white men are, quote, the biggest terror threat in this country, unquote. This is implying that white men are terrorists and so would typically violate this dehumanizing speech, they call it. As this is a newsworthy event, Facebook's content policy team is allowing a narrow exception for this content on the platform. Why would they do that?
Well, it's hard to say. They would like to say that this was newsworthy, but frankly, if they say that this is newsworthy, that means that they can say anything they want is newsworthy. Well, certainly there is obviously an intention on Facebook's part to have the back of people like CNN and hosts like Don Lemon.
Also flagged in the queue were comments from unknown conservatives about Project Veritas videos.
And in this case, it was a post regarding the Project Veritas ABC Epstein Amy Robach hot mic tape. Why did the algorithm flag this at all?
I don't know why the algorithm would have flagged this. I don't know why any bot would have chosen to select Project Veritas's page on Instagram or Facebook to monitor, basically.
Mm-hmm. And in this post, it appears to be a post featuring a comment made by Infidel, who is a verified Instagram political commentator, and the typical liberal, who's another Instagram verified commentator. And in this Infidel post, it reads, thankfully, there are honorable journalists like Project Veritas willing to hunt for and tell the truth. No matter what, the truth will prevail. Oh, and Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yes.
Why is this being flagged?
Well, frankly, there's no reason that this should be flagged.
Are these the only posts you saw flagged with Project Veritas, the Amy Robach tapes?
I saw that one. I think I may have seen one other one that I believe I recorded. If I didn't, then I must be mistaken. But yes, I've seen Project Veritas in that queue.
Will they flag us more after this expose comes out?
I predict they will. Let me run something by you. You know that civic harassment queue that we've been in lately?
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is it like all Republicans in there?
Yeah, it's all Republicans. But a lot of it comes off the Trump's page specifically.
Yeah, because I see like a Bernie post, and then I'll see like 5 Trump posts in a row.
Yeah, it looks straight Republican related. Like, I love our president. Why are we getting this?
Steve Grimmett is a content moderator for Facebook in Austin, Texas.
It's a very progressive company who's very anti-MAGA.
I know that Facebook does have a Trump rule where they still allow him on the platform, even though he says things that if anyone else said it.
And that's the fortunate thing is, even if he does say something, if it gets repeated, we can at least get the average Joe. But it goes back to our discussion earlier. It's hard when you've got the top person in the country. That's his MO. But you know, Facebook's done a lot better job of at least policing the mimickers and the mockingbirds that come after Trump.
I assume your coworkers were deleting a lot of Trump.
Nobody likes Trump in this website.
You don't leave any go, do you? Like, if you see a conservative post, you just get rid of it, right? Right.
I don't give no I'll delete it.
Good.
And they'll get salty. It's mostly
like, even if it's not, even if it's in policy, like, you're deleting that, right?
Yeah, I don't give no It's like 1 week left. What are they gonna do? Like, send me to OIP? I don't give a
You told me that you just whack all the conservative posts and just gone, right?
No, honestly, like every time, like half the time when I delete people for like pro-Trump, I'm like, you should be on a watch list, dude.
Yeah. Seriously.
Trump supporters like to throw around like Trump derangement syndrome as like, you know, liberals being crazy. I like think of it as actually you're the one that has Trump Ranger syndrome. Yeah, you're losing your goddamn mind as soon as, because they're just like, oh, Trump 2020, MAGA. And it's like, that sounds a little more deranged to me when you end every argument than that.
Like even like hashtag MAGA or hashtag MAGA 2020.
It's political, it stays up.
Yeah, but not for you.
No. Oh no.
Deleted.
Yeah.
So it's like delete any like positive Trump supporter stuff. But if it makes him look bad,
You have to take it down, but I leave it up.
you leave it up.
So if you see something that's not supposed to be up, it's probably me.
So you've deleted just hashtag MAGA?
Yeah.
Like the post gone?
It's common sense.
Who else is like you? Like in the office? Who else that proactively deletes?
Well, I hang out with a lot of people because they'll come up to me and they'll be like, post me, and then when I do, it's like, you set yourself up. But there's Marcella, I hang out a lot with her. Well, there's like other Asian guys that I hang out there. Kevin, who's like the midget that I harass about his height. And then there's like Trug, Gabe, Cassie, Jen. Yeah, those are, oh, Dante, Skylar, Shania.
Those are all like the resistors.
The people that I hang out with.
Yeah. And they all do the same thing as you, content moderator. How many of you are like take your own stance and say we're just deleting whatever all the Trump posts?
There's only probably like 16 of us.
And you guys like you just delete everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
16 in the morning.
I don't believe in pushing the left agenda.
Yeah, and that's what Facebook does.
How?
By allowing a lot of stuff that are very far left to be still on the platform. Like, for example, like racial stuff.
Okay.
You could call me white trash based on me being white, but I can't. But if you say Asian trash, black trash, brown trash, we got to delete stuff like that.
Right.
So they're very, they'll allow certain things, but not for others where you would think something could be. And so that's just, one example. And they're very, like, politically, it's like you could say anything you want except kill for someone on the right.
Okay.
But if it's someone on the left and it's about their race, that's up in, like, governmental things, you have to take that down for hate speech.
Yeah, and then she has a MAGA hat on or something. You'll delete all of them. Yeah. I would so do that though.
If someone wears the MAGA hat, I'm gonna delete it for terrorism.
Yeah. You just have to like go hard that day. It's just like get into work early. Like I'm on a mission. Like make up for the last year.
I think probably.
Oh really?
But if they attack like Bernie or something, maybe I'll take that. Yeah, I can take that.
Like what
Like
type of
if they should
attack?
say like Bernie is this and this and he doesn't believe in that and he's just like this or whatever, I'll just take it down.
It's like, think about the amount of impact that you could have if you remove those types of posts.
Yeah.
I mean, like they like once
the hateful.
Yeah. That's true. I'd rather remove Trump posts than Bernie posts though, because I feel like people just say, "Oh, I don't like Bernie," or "Bernie's a communist." Like, I don't really think that would impact anything. But if a Trump post was to come up and it was promoting Trump and I could take that down, then I feel like that would be good.
The actions of the content moderators may not be conclusive evidence of structural bias at Facebook, but it certainly speaks to the anti-conservative culture that McElroy says is pervasive.
Well, it's very simple. You've got a formula. You've got a workplace full of mostly liberal-leaning Democrats, leftists, essentially, and they are being put in charge of moderating the entire public discourse. Facebook and Instagram are very large platforms, one of the biggest. And our voices are in the hands of people who are almost entirely left-leaning and not right-leaning or otherwise unbiased. And in speaking with a lot of them, I found that they are not at all shy to exercise their political will in deleting or leaving up content, whether or not they're allowed to, or whether or not they'll get penalized for it, especially when they've got nothing to lose. That is to say, they're getting laid off.
That's hard. Yeah. What if I know? I come up with some good ass disputes sometimes where they like let me slide with the
No one cared.
No one cared. They're just deleting everything they want. I know a lot of people, you know, always going back to politics, but hey, fighting the good fight. I know a lot of people were taking down, you know, Trump post stuff.
Oh yeah, I knew that too. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hold you accountable for taking it down. We have like 30 minutes left. I'm like, what do you want me to do?
It's for the better.
Yeah, hell yeah. You gotta get the Cheeto out of office.
I'm thinking, delete like every Donald Trump post I see on the timeline.
Oh, okay, I thought I was the only one.
You think?
I thought I was the only one doing it, okay?
You're doing it?
I thought I was the only one doing it.
But I'll be here.
I just feel
spite.
Revenge for all the
I mean, what you think? They gonna audit you? Who cares?
Oh, who knows? I don't know, but I just feel like I'm doing something.
The problem, I think, again, it's globally, they want part of them in this picture, in this global picture. Therefore, Christians are always, you can't believe how much Jesus stuff that has been attacked over and over and over again against Jesus or any type of Christianity. You could blaspheme Jesus as much as you want on Facebook. But if you go against somebody that's wearing one of those Islamic hats and thinking that they're going to blow themselves up, well, that's hate speech. But if there's anything over here and in the name of Christian, like, shares a Bible verse or just, says this, that may appear to go against homosexuality, well, that's hate speech. That's, this and that. That's not allowed.
It's pretty clear that Facebook has a political agenda. And it's also clear that if you're not in line with that, you're less likely to be heard.
Do you think if it was like a pro-Trump whistleblower that like they would protect him to the same level? No, right?
I think they're very biased with who they protect.
At a certain extent, like the bias. Like you've seen the Twitter shadow banning. So I wonder if you've seen anything at Facebook.
Shadow bans.
Yeah.
Facebook's notorious for it, and they say they don't, but it's clear that people's content don't comes up because it's been defiltered off the queue.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's crazy.
They're doing something, man. They're just trying to pretend like they're not.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely being done. I don't know if there's any plans to make it more, like, to make it a true shadow ban. Like, you post these things, nobody can see your, like, you're not banned, but nobody can see your things.
So a lot of things that we have to look out for are the dog whistles, are the I guess the content coming from places that is a haven for white nationalism.
So there's an insider watching this program and looking at what you did and working inside of whatever company they're working. Maybe it's Google, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's, CNN. What is your message to those people who have not yet made the decision to do what you've done?
I would say you can do it too. I would say it's not as impossible as you think.
McElroy signed non-disclosure agreements when he started and ended his employment at Facebook Cognizant.
Are you afraid?
I think the truth is more powerful than any NDA.
Facebook needs to be transparent about their political bias, both institutional and cultural. If you're on the inside of a big tech company and see issues that need to be exposed, come to us. We will have your back. Be brave, do something.